Welcome to Season 2 of Why Your Business is Invisible Online. This season, we focus on the dramatic change artificial intelligence is having on your online visibility. Joining me are my two co-hosts, and here they are.
Hi, this is Jim Filatico. I'm currently obsessed with planning my next beach adventure for my whole family.
Hi, I'm Kelly Biggs. We're talking about AI this season. I'm wondering, can I get an AI agent to clean my house?
And I'm your host, John Manatis, still glued to my guitar, but with my new band planning our next tour. Okay, this is what we're dealing with, and so what? Here are some of the so what questions. So Jim, if the search engine gives away the answer, where does the client's website now fit into the customer journey?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know, before you wanted to be the first click, and now that click doesn't exist, right? It's just on the page. It's on the search page. So now you want to be the next step, basically, right? So how do you do that?
I like that. The next step. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And ultimately, you have to have the authority. You have to have kind of the trust and the proof. So you have to build that trust with the content you have. Ways to do that, you can have case studies. You can do product comparisons. You can make sure that the trust signals are there, whether it's reviews or testimonials, certain guarantees or promotions, obviously. All those things help build the trust, so that way when they do, you know, when the next click is to you, they don't bounce, right? They stick around, they do their research, like Kelly was just talking about. You know, something on that page made them say, whatever they're saying makes sense to me. You know what I mean? I trust it, so I'm going to move forward. And so that's what I think is the big thing, is making sure we talk about authority all the time, but building that trust. The authority really helps with being served up by whether it's AI search or Google.
Right.
But now the trust has to be there, so that way people don't leave. By doing that, by personalizing it, it makes you feel like that's where those testimonials come in. You put yourself in the shoes of that same person that read about a great tax season because they did well, or whatever. You know what I mean? That helps. So you need to make sure that you build that trust so they stick on the website. Mm-hmm. And including that brand, like I said before, including that brand in a lot of these answers helps build that trust and that connection between these guys have authority. I trust them. Oh, and here's the brand name, right?
Yeah.
It all comes together. So I think that's really important to build that trust.
Excellent. Kelly, just switching gears a little bit to B2B services. How do you differentiate content in a B2B situation, especially when it's a commoditized service that the B2B company is serving up?
Yeah. So one, I don't necessarily think that you have to reinvent your offer. You just need to be really specific about who it's for. So for example, if you're a managed IT provider, right, and your homepage says, we support small businesses, you're probably not going to be served up, because small businesses is way too broad.
Yeah. Nobody calls himself small business.
No, exactly. And so I would say if you change that, though, to say we help multi-location healthcare practices reduce downtime, and stay compliant. Mm-hmm. Well, now I know not only do you serve us, but the fact that you said you're reducing my downtime and you're helping me stay compliant, I'm more inclined to think that you know how to solve my problem. Mm-hmm. And I'll also say, I know we're in this so what. So what's the risk of not doing this? Generic messaging is not going to attract anybody. No. You've checked the box. You put your website up. If somebody that knows you comes to verify that you exist, you've checked that box. but it's going to disqualify you from AI-powered zero-click search if your positioning is not specific enough. The algorithm just is not, like, you're not getting that information gain that Seamus talked about. Contrary to popular belief, people are researching. They're researching every single thing before they make any decision anymore.
Yep.
And so you might have a successful referral-based business, and that's great. But I think the time to think that nobody's searching for your service online is probably over. They are.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
Yeah.
So this phrase "information gain" that Seamus sort of coined comes up often in this conversation. Jim, would you say this idea of information gain is still really the most reliable way to stand out in artificial intelligence responses by Perplexity, ChatGPT, et cetera? Maybe it's worthwhile refreshing our audience's memory on the definition of information gain as sort of Seamus talked about.
Yeah, thank you, Seamus. It was very helpful. But basically, it's you want to provide more information that's existing now, right? So the information gain is unique information that helps you solve a problem, that moves you down the path. And so that it's critical today. Because like Kelly was just saying, if you have a generic website that doesn't really shine for any particular reason, it's not going to be served up. So information gain, that's what it's all about. You have to be unique. You have to basically provide information that we talk about context. We've mentioned that a lot. That adds the context. It does comparisons. It even gives you the consequences if things don't happen the way you want it to happen. I mean, it's all those things that helps you understand and get the whole feel for exactly what you're searching for. And so that's critical to have that information. The other thing is you want to make sure that you stay on top of your trends of your industry. You know, if you have a medical spa, you know what I mean, a med spa kind of place, you want to make sure that you're leaning into all the things that are new and exciting in the industry. If you have old information on your website, people are going to see that, you know, because they're looking for the new stuff. Mm-hmm. And so when they type it in and you don't show up, that's why. You have to make sure that that's all there. And then, like I said, provide that context to the content to make sure what's in it for me. You know what I mean? Why is it going to help me? What you can't do is the old SEO, you know, word stuffing,
right,
repeating things and kind of be a me too. That just doesn't work. If you can provide new content and context around a problem that's being solved, you have a much better chance of being found on AI search. I'm working with a prospect right now I named to be held because I'm hoping to get him as a client, but he's a big home services firm, and their website looks like it was built by a home services website builder. It's you know, stock photos and it's stock content, and it's not being found, and it's obvious why it's not being found. And so, you know, they're spending a lot of money right now with another marketing firm, and it's because they check the box. And so there's a lot of opportunity to personalize it, to localize it to their region, and help them. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you bring that up because it really is a huge opportunity if you jump on it. Because if everybody's being generic, there's great opportunities for people who want to be specific and stand out. So this is a really good time for people who want to put in the time. Kelly, how do you build trust and expertise when with content when users, you know, are just not converting the traditional way we're used to?
I would say it's more so, to me, it's about showing versus telling. And that's kind of nuanced, right? Mm-hmm. So when your content helps somebody solve a problem before they even contact you, right? So go back to the accountant that's telling the CRNA who is going into business for herself. No, like who's writing that content? Somebody who's really like, this is the type of client that I want. That's who's writing it. And so now providing them with, when I say we targeted them, there's guides that you can download from her. And there's checklists and there's step-by-step. Here's how you set up your own LLC. Do you need an LLC or an S Corp? Those type of things where if you think about it, if they can walk away with something, to me, that's akin to a handshake in the zero-click world.
I think we're feeling good about the what, the so what. Now let's talk a little about now what.
Now what?
Yeah. So okay. Continue with you, Kelly. What are some smart content tweaks that businesses can make to build trust and drive action? Yeah. Even if the user never clicks through to your website, what are some of the things we can do?
Yeah, we talked about it before. I think it was the last episode. But number one, put that call to action on the top of whatever you're answering. So, and make sure that when they click on that, it matches the page. So upstream messaging is really important. But so for instance, and I know I deal with a lot of accounting firms, but if they're reading about tax deadlines, instead of giving them a generic pitch that they could go to the IRS and get, offer a calendar or a reminder service that fits what they need to. You know, if I'm a business owner and I just can't remember all the tax deadlines because there are a lot, like when are my quarterlies due? If I'm getting a reminder, there's an opportunity for you to brand that for me. Like look for those type of nuggets to get into their business, but also be helpful.
How do you decide when to go deeper versus when to simplify? Because let's face it, it's a bit of a quandary, right? We're hearing all about let's be simple to the point and so forth, but sometimes it's hard to get that information gain if you don't go a little deeper. So you're sort of, caught in the middle here. So what's some advice?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, the simplify part is really trying to show up in the zero click. It's that original problem that you're trying to solve. You want to show up there. So that's where it's simple. It doesn't go into a whole lot of detail, but it may be FAQs. You may do like executive summaries. If you're, in Kelly's perspective with her accountants, you may want to do a paragraph that explains that calendar invite thing or whatever, just to make sure that you have an opportunity to show up on zero clicks. Maybe a blog post that is just kind of higher level, but it still answers the question that people are searching for. So that's when you simplify, when you want to show up for zero clicks. So you have to do that. You have to do both. And you're kind of serving two masters in a way. But you have to do both if you want to show up in both. When you go deeper that's when people are going to come to the website after that zero click. And that's when you have to be laser focused. That's why you do more in-depth things, in-depth guides or deeper case studies, white papers from somebody else that builds your authority.
Those are very effective.
And then, if you do like a pillar blog where you have the main blog and then multiple things around it that answer the who, what, when, where, how, that really helps. So blending both is critical. And it just gets more and more confusing, I think, for business leaders to understand. But you need to have both now. It used to be that you were trying to do everything with one answer, and it just isn't the case anymore. I mean, the way people search has changed too, and we talk about that, but people are putting more information in the search bar now. And so that's changing the way the whole search has been going on for years and years. And so we're having to move with that, and it allows us to provide both. You want to simplify, but you also want to go deep when you need to go deep. So the simplification part is kind of to attract people, right? To have them click. And then the deeper part when you get to the website is convert. So like Kelly talked about, call to actions, branding, all that information that helps people feel comfortable and trust you to convert.
Yeah, I agree. Let's keep going down this path because I think it's super important. Kelly, if you're already showing up on Google, but not in the AI answers or the featured results, what should you try adjusting first?
I would start the way I've started with a lot of my clients. So I'll take it to my medical sports massage company. So one of the things with them is she has a lot of content, right? And so let's face it, like she's been doing SEO forever. So it's not that the structure wasn't there because it was. But what we had to do was to figure out like what's missing, right? I think that when we started learning about AI, and I would say probably this includes marketing people like ourselves. Everybody all of a sudden thought they could fire every copywriter they ever had. Because now they had this resource. And what was happening, I think as a result, was a lot of the same content is out there on every single person's. Yep. And so when you talk about this information edge, it's lacking. Mm-hmm. So some of the things that we started to do with her specifically, because like I said, she's a wealth of knowledge. And a lot of times people would come there because she understands and her entire staff understands how to, whatever you're going through, assess it. And then they even tie in with doctors if you've just coming out of rehab. But that message was missing. So it's just like looking at AI saying like, this is what we do, what's missing from the website when we do that. And so oftentimes I would tape, and I still do, as long as I have permission, I would tape our conversations. And so now, and John, I think you've mentioned this with one of your lawyer, I think it's your personal injury lawyer. Now what I had quotes from her. Guess what? Nobody can steal her quotes because she's unique, right? Mm-hmm. So that's some of the things that were missing. She's like an encyclopedia. So getting those quotes directly from her, taking some of the reviews that are online and sprinkling that in. You know how you're scrolling down a blog or something that you're reading and then they have like this little square, just a quote picture, right? Yeah. And then in that, if you label it correctly, customer, you know, there's so many gems you could do in your existing blogs. That's probably enough, but it is time consuming because you're not taking AI, putting it into a tool and necessarily coming out with the right answer. Many times it's taken me just as long as it did, but I am using it to aid me in getting content and telling me, like, tell me what's missing here. And then me figuring out for this client, how do I give them that edge so that they can stand out?
Yeah, that's a huge point. So for all you content writers out there that are panicked that you're going to lose your jobs and so forth, not the case. In fact, your job just got harder in many ways. Yeah, because you have to be more. You know, the running theme for me, listening to both you guys answer all these questions, is we always knew the target persona was important, but it's so much more important now. And it's elevated to a completely different plane. It isn't just one thing you check off a list. It is the most important thing. All your content now has to tie back to meaningful answers for that target. And by meaning, and you'll only know your answers are great and your content's great when you start receiving really good leads that make sense for your business, because your content did such a good job of matching up against that target persona that now, you know, the people that come to your website in the past and just kick the tires and say, oh, let me just look at some of these pages, that goes away with a lot of meaningful answers on your website. And to Jim's point earlier, your quick to the point answers resonate with the right type of leads that your business needs and wants for your growth and future. So just to sort of wrap a bow around this segment, because it was an important one. Here's what I heard, and you guys jump in if I got any of this wrong. But I loved when Jim, I think it's the old journalist, I guess, trick or key. The who, what, where, when, why, and how is what journalists always have to answer, and it applies here so much as long as you keep it tied nicely to your target persona. And it's got to be succinct, because we know AI wants to give quick answers to your questions, so that's important. I've even seen examples where some gutsier clients are literally putting their pricing now on their website.
That's a tactic. Yeah.
I didn't used to see much of that in the past, but now I see it a lot more often because they're getting that specific. They're saying, I know my target persona, and I know they want to hear this information. And some of them are even gutsy enough to put up a chart and compare themselves to their nearest, toughest competitors. And so that's making a difference too. So what I'm hearing, some common themes: brand. Here's an opportunity to get your brand name out there and differentiate yourself. We talked enough about the importance of context, being meaningful, being specific. Love the point you made, Kelly, about don't bury that call to action at the bottom of the page anymore.
Yeah.
Lead with it. Put it right at the top. Huge point. And I just want to throw this in for a bit of a laugh, but we use acronyms all the time.
Yeah.
So things like SGE for our audience, Search Generative Experience, is what you see thrown about a lot. I guess being a Canadian, LLCs and S corps it's probably a U.S. term. Okay. So I was scratching my head there, going, it's got to be a U.S. thing. I'm showing my Canadianism here. But
it's basically how you set up a business. But
but AI, it's not only happening. This zero-click thing, this issue with the importance of content, isn't only happening with AI. It's still there for traditional SEO. So the two are one's forcing the other one to evolve, and it's happening at a rapid pace. Yeah. So those were the things. I think that's a pretty good point to stop. We used information gain as the prevailing sort of idea here. I hope you got that message, and we'll take a pause and come back to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to Why Your Business is Invisible Online. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do us a favor and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to share it with other business owners who might find it helpful. If you want to dig deeper, contact us at ruinvisibleonline.com. That's capital letter R, capital letter U, followed by invisibleonline.com. Or message us on our LinkedIn business profile with the same title, Are You Invisible Online? The information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the hosts and guests and may or may not reflect the official policy or position of WSI Corporate. Always consult a qualified digital marketing expert before making significant changes to your online strategy. Until next time, keep connecting with the people who matter most to your business and join us for our next episode.